Michael Jordan once gave his shoes to a homeless man. Decades later, that man did something unthinkable. The night was bitter cold, the kind of Chicago chill that seeps into your bones and stays there. It was late, well past midnight, and most of the crowd had already cleared out from the United Center. The Bulls had won. Jordan had dropped another 40-point game like it was nothing. Reporters were still huddled near the players' lot hoping for a quote or glimpse. But MJ wasn't walking out that way tonight. He took the side exit. His security team had told him to stay close, but he wanted a moment. A break from the noise, the flashes, the fame. He pulled his hood up, shoved his hands into his coat pockets, and walked toward the alley behind the building. It wasn't the first time. Sometimes he just needed the silence. The real world. He was halfway through the alley when he saw him. A man, hunched over near a dumpster, wrapped in a dirty blanket. No shoes. Just socks, wet, torn, and barely holding together. He wasn't asking for anything. He wasn't begging. He wasn't even looking. Jordan slowed his steps. The man finally looked up, wary. They locked eyes. Nothing was said. Jordan pulled off his sneakers, his game shoes, red and black, scuffed from battle but still holding the heat of the court. He stepped closer, held them out. The man blinked, stunned. He hesitated. "They're yours," Jordan said, voice low. The man didn't argue. He took the shoes like they were glass. Cradled them. Looked at Jordan like he wasn't real. Jordan gave him a nod. Then walked off in his socks. Quietly. Like it was nothing. It wasn't on the news. No cameras. No crowd. Just one man, one act. And then it was over. Reggie didn't sleep that night. He sat there for hours, clutching the shoes, staring out at the Chicago skyline. His hands shook. Not from the cold, but from something else. Something he hadn't felt in years, maybe decades. Hope. He'd been on the streets too long to believe in fairy tales. He'd been robbed, beaten, ignored. He used to play ball. He used to have dreams. But life turned hard. He made mistakes. Lost people. Lost himself. But that night, something cracked open inside him. The next morning, the sun came up with no fanfare. Reggie walked down West Madison in the shoes Jordan gave him. They were too big, but he didn't care. He walked with a limp and a pounding headache. He hadn't eaten in a day. But he walked straight into the city's South Side intake center and asked for help. He got clean. Not right away, and not without relapsing. But he got there. He kept the shoes, wrapped in a towel, tucked under his cot. A reminder. Years passed. Reggie moved through shelters, temp work, the slow grind of building a life from ashes. He didn't talk about the shoes. Not to anyone. They were his. Not because they were from Jordan, but because they were from that moment. That silent exchange. The look that said, "You matter." In 2002, Reggie took a janitor job at a community center. The kind of place that smelled like sweat, rubber balls, and old popcorn. Kids came in after school to shoot hoops, get loud, blow off steam. No one really listened to them. Some of them didn't talk much either. He saw himself in a few of them. Lost, angry, tough on the outside. He started sweeping the gym floor after hours, then staying a little longer to rebound for the kids who hung around late. Soon he was showing them how to dribble with both hands, how to pivot, how to move without the ball. He was still just a janitor. But in their eyes, he became something more. One day, a boy named Darius came in with a chip on his shoulder and fire in his eyes. He was fast, raw, and cocky. Thought he knew everything. Reggie didn't lecture. He just watched. Waited. Then challenged him to a one-on-one. Reggie didn't win, but he gave the kid a game. And in doing so, earned his respect. After that, Darius was always the last to leave. Always asking questions. always pushing harder. Reggie pushed back. Talent's just noise if you don't learn control, he told him. And noise don't win games. Darius rolled his eyes, but he listened. By 2007, Reggie was running drills twice a week. Not officially. Not paid. Just something he did after the cleaning was done. The center let him use the gym, said he was keeping the kids off the streets. He didn't argue. The shoes stayed locked in a box in the supply closet, under a blanket, behind old trophies no one cared about anymore. Reggie only looked at them when things got hard. They were his reminder that someone saw him once. Still, he never told the kids the full story. Only that someone gave him a second chance. That was enough. But it stayed with him. Not because of the fame. Not even because it was Jordan. It was because in a world where people walked past him like he was invisible, one man didn't. And that gave him something to build on. Years later, when one of the kids asked him why he never missed a practice, never lost his cool, never gave up on any of them, he finally said it. Because someone gave me their shoes when I didn't deserve them, Reggie said. Now I'm giving you mine. He walked out of the gym that night and didn't realize something had started. A ripple. A story waiting to circle back. And far across the city, in a high-rise office lit with endorsements and deals, Michael Jordan had no idea that the man he met in an alley would return, not for money. Not for fame. But for something much bigger. Years passed, but Reggie never let go of the work. The gym became his second skin. He didn't wear whistles or hold clipboards, just his old hoodie, a cracked watch, and a calm stare that said more than yelling ever could. The kids respected him not because he talked big, but because he showed up. Every day. No matter what. By 2010, he was known around the neighborhood as Coach Reg. Not official, not certified, but everybody knew who ran the gym. He wasn't on the payroll, but no one touched that court without his say-so. Even the cops and city staff looked the other way when he stayed late or opened early. The man had earned it. And then came Darius. Now a junior in high school, Darius was turning heads. 6'3", lean, explosive first step, and an outside shot that made scouts pay attention. He didn't smile much. Still carried that fire. But Reggie had shaped him. Not just the game, his attitude. His choices. The way he treated people. And he listened to Reggie more than he listened to anyone else. One night after practice, the gym was empty. Just the two of them. You ever think of coaching for real? Darius asked, sitting on the baseline, wiping sweat off his face. I am coaching for real, Reggie said, sipping from his chipped mug. Nah, I mean, like, certified. Like a real school. Reggie gave a half smile. I'm where I need to be. Darius didn't push. He never did. But the question lingered. That summer, Darius got invited to an elite camp in Florida. Sponsored by a major brand, full of top-tier players. Reggie scraped together enough to buy the kid new gear, called in every favor he had for airfare. You go there and play like you belong. Because you do, Reggie told him at the airport. Darius nodded once and walked off. That weekend, Reggie stayed glued to an old laptop, watching choppy live streams and Twitter clips. The kid was electric. By Sunday, scouts were tweeting his name. A few local reporters called him the next Derrick Rose. Then the call came. Scholarship offer from Illinois. Full ride. They wanted him in the fall. Reggie didn't cry. He just nodded on the phone and whispered, he did it. But nothing's ever that clean. 2 weeks later, Darius got into a fight. Outside a corner store. Surveillance footage showed fists flying. Another teen bleeding from the mouth. Darius was arrested. Word spread fast. Papers ran headlines before the facts were clear. Coaches backed off. Illinois paused the offer. Reggie showed up to the police station without being asked. He sat in front of the desk sergeant like he had business there. That fight? It wasn't him, he said. It was me. The cop stared at him. I threw the first punch. He was just trying to break it up. The story was thin. The footage was clearer. But Reggie stuck to it. Backed it with enough detail that the department flagged the case for further review. Darius was released. Charges dropped. But Reggie wasn't off the hook. The center found out. They let him go. No warning. No thanks. You lied to the police, the director said. We can't have that. He packed up his things in silence. The box of supplies. His broom. And, buried at the bottom, the locked case with Jordan's shoes. For the first time in years, Reggie had nowhere to go. Darius tracked him down a week later at a pay-by-night motel. Knocked hard. You didn't have to do that, the kid said. It wasn't even that bad. I would have made it through. You don't know that, Reggie said. And I'm not about to roll the dice with your future. Darius looked at him like he was seeing him for the first time. Not as a coach, but as a man who'd laid it all on the line. You saved me, he said. Reggie nodded, said nothing more. Over the next few months, Darius fought for his name. He took community service. Issued a public statement. Refused to throw Reggie under the bus, even when reporters asked him point blank. The coach from Illinois came back. Quietly. Told him he respected the way he handled himself. The offer stood if he stayed clean and made it through senior year without trouble. Darius did. Meanwhile, Reggie drifted. He cleaned cars. Worked nights at a gas station. Once or twice he caught himself staring at the shoes in the case. Wondering if it all mattered. If Jordan had ever thought about that night. If it was just one moment in a sea of moments. Then, in late 2019, an announcement shook the city. Michael Jordan was funding a major outreach program in Chicago. A full initiative, gyms, scholarships, youth centers. And he was coming back for the launch event. It would be at the United Center. The very place where it all began. Reggie saw the headline on a crumpled newspaper left in the break room. He stared at it for a long time. Then, slowly, he smiled. He picked up the phone. Called Darius. You still talk to that media guy from the camp? He asked. Yeah, Darius said. Why? I got a story, Reggie said. And it's time I told it. What happened next moved fast. Darius talked to the right people. Shared the story. The alley. The shoes. The years in between. At first, nobody believed it. Then they saw the shoes. And everything changed. By the time the event date rolled around, Reggie had been quietly added to the guest list. No fanfare. No red carpet. Just a plain envelope with an invite and a seat number. Reggie took a bus to the stadium. Held the case on his lap the entire ride. When he walked through the doors of the United Center, memories hit him hard. Not of the game. But of that night. That exchange. The silent look. The gift that had kept him alive, not the shoes, but the dignity. He looked around the crowd. Hundreds of kids. Coaches. Media. And on the stage, in front of the whole city, was Darius, grown now, confident, smiling for the first time in years. He stepped up to the mic and said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a man who gave everything without asking for anything back. The crowd leaned in. I want to introduce you to the real MVP of my life. And then Reggie walked out into the lights. Reggie stepped onto the stage, the old display case in his hands. The crowd was silent. Lights beamed down. Phones came up. No one quite knew who he was, not yet. But they could feel something in the air. A shift. Darius turned to him and gave a quiet nod. Tell them, he whispered. Reggie cleared his throat and faced the crowd. He didn't need a speech. He hadn't prepared one. He just looked out at the faces, kids, families, coaches, staff. Then over to the man sitting near center stage, watching him closely. Michael Jordan. He looked older, sharper around the eyes, but the same focus was there. Reggie held his stare for a beat longer. 24 years ago, Reggie said, voice steady, I was barefoot in a Chicago alley, trying to survive another night. The crowd shifted, leaned in. A man walked by me after a game. Didn't say much. Just saw me. He saw me. And he gave me something I hadn't felt in a long time, dignity. He opened the case. Inside were the original red and black Air Jordans. The soles cracked, laces faded, but the legend untouched. He gave me these. His game shoes. Right off his feet. Gasps rippled through the room. I didn't sell them. I didn't wear them out. I kept them. Because they reminded me that someone believed I was still worth something. Jordan stood up. Slowly. Watching every move. Reggie looked over at him, eyes wet but proud. Those shoes didn't change my life. But they made me want to change it myself. He turned to the crowd. So I got clean. I worked. I coached. I found kids who were just like I was, tired, angry, invisible. I tried to be for them what that man was for me in one moment. Someone who didn't look away. He motioned to Darius. This young man here? He's going places. But I didn't raise a star, I raised a fighter. And that's what this city needs. That's what these kids need. Applause broke out. Then louder. Reggie paused, swallowed hard, and turned back to Jordan. You didn't remember me, I'm sure. But I never forgot you. And now, I want you to have these back. He stepped forward, held out the shoes. Jordan took them carefully. Looked down at them like they were artifacts. I remember, he said. I remember that night. The room went still again. Jordan turned to the crowd. This is why we do this. Not for headlines. Not for highlights. But for moments like this. He looked at Reggie. You kept going when no one was watching. You did the hard work. That's greatness. Reggie looked down, humbled. But Jordan wasn't done. You ever think about coaching for real? He asked, echoing the same words Darius had years ago. Reggie smiled faintly. I've been doing it for real. Good, Jordan said. Because I need a head coach. We're launching the Jordan Academy next year. We're gonna change lives. You in? Gasps. Applause. A wave of disbelief. Reggie didn't move at first. Then he nodded. I'm in. Darius came up and hugged him tight. That night, the city of Chicago saw something they hadn't seen in a long time. Not just a basketball story, but a human one. A story that didn't start with talent or fame, but with quiet grit. With one man walking through the fire and never asking to be noticed. The event ended with laughter, music, and photos. But the real ending came weeks later. The Jordan Academy opened its first doors in the South Side. A state-of-the-art training facility and community hub. Free programs for kids, mentorship, college prep, real coaching. Not just drills, but life lessons. And there, every morning before sunrise, Reggie was on the court. Still in his hoodie. Still not flashy. But now with a whistle, an office, and a plaque with his name on the wall. Coach Reggie Owens, Director of Character Development. He never took full credit. Always deflected to the kids, the staff, the community. But deep down, he knew. One man saw him once. And because of that, he never stopped seeing others. One afternoon, after practice, Reggie walked into his office and found a new pair of Jordans on his desk. Fresh. Signed. On the toe box, a note in Sharpie. To Reggie, you gave those shoes meaning. Keep running your court. MJ. He smiled, placed them beside the old ones in the case, and locked it. That weekend, Darius returned from college with his first coaching certificate. "Got a job waiting for me?" he asked, half joking. Reggie tossed him a whistle. "You start Monday." The two laughed. Outside, kids lined up to play. A whole new generation ready to learn, fall, grow, rise. And in the middle of it all was a man who once had nothing, but never stopped giving everything. Not for glory. Not for fame. But because someone once handed him a pair of shoes and didn't look away.